Hello, everybody, and welcome to Starfinder Wednesday. I'm Joe Piscini, Starfinder's lead designer,
Hi, and I'm Jason Keeley, developer.
and we're here today to talk to you about the
The
Deck of Many Worlds. Okay, we promised not to do that
Okay.
long ago, but we're not just going to talk about it today. I will show you how it works, and we'll talk a little bit about why you would want to use such a thing. But we're also going to make some worlds with you today, which I'm really excited about.
That's right. We're going to be going to some chat polls later on once we show you how this whole thing works.
So what is this thing? It is
What
a
is it?
deck of 100 cards, and you can use it to make worlds of your own creation. And we'll step through how to do that in just a second. But why would you want to make worlds of your own creation in a sci-fi fantasy game?
Well, the galaxy is huge.
Yeah, it's way bigger.
It's
than we
way
thought.
bigger. Space. It's very, very big.
Mhm.
And it's full of things. It's planets, asteroids, space stations, whatever, all kinds of things you want to have. And you need to populate those. And while we have books that show you a system here or there,
Mhm.
you can just, for your own home brew campaign, you want your own system, this is a way to just sort of create one on the fly.
Yep, and I'm looking forward to using it. I already have started using it because we have copies here to make homeworlds for my characters. And honestly, for no one in particular, because this is a cool world. A lot of them aren't great homeworlds because they're
there's
full of
trouble,
adventure, and conflict. But
why would you ever want to leave?
yeah, but let's get into how the deck works. We'll kind of go card by card, and then then we'll just jump into making our own, because that's what we're here to do primarily.
Yeah.
All right,
Let's do it.
So the first thing you do is you shuffle up the deck. I'll do that here. I think you'll just hear it. Yeah,
There you go.
I hear it. I'm really shuffling, I promise. We have all the cards here. And you pick one card. That is your first card. And that gives you, and I'll show you, there's some possibilities, many possibilities. It might be an Earth-like world. It might be a gas giant. There's some weird stuff in here. Hopefully we'll see some today. In fact, we have here sort of a Dyson sphere ring type of thing, a mega structure around the sun. Let's go with that one. So this gives you some interesting attributes about your world. There's gravity, what kind of gravity it might have, an atmosphere, and then biomes, which you can use to set yourself up with aliens that we've already published, right?
Yeah.
So if this one has the biomes of solar and space, so you can put stuff that lives in space, and we even have stuff that lives in the sun because we're a weird fantasy sci-fi game.
Exactly.
And so that's what you start with, is where you are, basically. Then you take another card, and this is the flip side of every card, and you put it right underneath. And the first thing you'll notice are these attribute bars lining up. So this one says these down arrows in this case mean that there's low magic here. Religion is very prominent, and technology is sort of in the middle. So think like an Earth-like, where we have some technology, but we're not quite able to travel faster than the speed of light.
Sure.
Not quite. Did I just say we can't quite travel faster? Yeah.
Like here on Earth, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to talk about any of these attributes, or?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we can talk about you can see there's an alignment pair of attributes here. Anything that with an arrow points down is going to be on the long chaos axis, chaos. Middle is of that neutral one. Up is law. And then over here, you've got the good and evil. And again, here, neutral. So this is a chaotic neutral kind of settlement or world. And that's just a general indication of how what the alignment of the planet is. It's not necessarily everyone who lives on there is exact alignment, but that's just a good indication of how what kind of a society they might have.
Exactly. And the other thing that's prominent, there's two other things prominent on this second card, right? We've got some dice face, which we can talk about in a second, some dice faces, and then an adventure hook here. And this one I'll read upside down very quickly. A high concept marketplace of knowledge and information, which serves as both currency and social capital.
Ooh.
So this is what place where people come for hidden details about the galaxy.
Sure, yeah.
And another thing you can do with these hooks is it might be that this is the present day, like it's currently that way, or it might have recently been but is no longer, or it might about to be that thing. That makes sense, right?
Sure.
That's another way you can mix these sort of hooks up. And then we've got a third card, which you place here for your second hook. And this one is enveloped by a personality-altering aura, causing the alignment of visitors to change subtly or drastically.
Ooh.
And that reminds me that some of these hooks, just by themselves, never mind the fact that you are drawing them randomly, they have randomness in them.
Right.
So they might say, periodically this world phases in and out of out of this plane of existence. It's like, well, you decide what periodically means. It could be,
Right.
it's going to be way different if it's every day.
Right.
We are now in the ethereal plane versus
At
like
noon every day.
Yeah, exactly. Or every 100 years, you
Right.
know, but society might adapt to that in different, well, they would in wildly different ways.
Definitely would.
So we've got a cool world, and it's got some attributes that we can start to tell us about it, and some cool adventure hooks. But who lives there? That's kind of the next
always
thing.
a good question.
So that brings us back to these die faces, which you can use to say there are. Let me show you the back of the card first. So every single card here on this side has a playable species. So that's a species you can play as in the game of Starfinder. And on the other side is some kind of threat species. Wow.
Which are not necessarily sapient or sentient, but some of them are and some of them aren't.
Right. And so what you do, you can use these die faces to say there are 4 sapient species. So you could just keep going and add 4 right here, and that would tell you who lives there. And in order of population, so there are lots of Demai here, which are survivors of a kind of kaiju apocalypse, or at least they are in our setting, but you can adjust any of these details as you want, which is kind of what we're going to do here today, is make choices. Chat, we're going to do some polls, and you'll decide which cards we use, which is something you can do with this deck too. You don't have to take what's randomly dealt to you. The other thing you can do, so instead of putting 4 here, I'll just put 2, because that's what we'll do today to kind of keep it manageable. Whoop, and then we'll just screw all these cards up. And we have some threats here on this world too. And again, these might be sapient things. You know, they could be undead, intelligent undead. They could be any number of things.
Dragons, maybe.
Yep, dragons are on here.
Like
There's all sorts of stuff. And so here we've got Capins and Gragacals on this weird world. I don't know where they're living, but that's the kind of thing we get to talk about and figure out.
Exactly.
And that is basically how you create a world with the Deck of Many Worlds. I checked with Mark Seifter just because MIT and math, and I wanted to make sure I had it right. With just these 5 cards, there are over 9 billion combinations of these 100 cards.
Wow,
so
wow.
You're not going to run out of ideas anytime soon with this deck.
And we're not going to see this combination ever again.
Nope. And we'll get to most of those 9 billion today, so we better get started here.
Indeed.
This, by the way, is coming out next month in January. You can get it at Paizo.com or your friendly local game store. But enough of that. Let's make some worlds.
All right.
I'm screaming. Why am I shouting?
Because you're excited. You're very excited. This product has been a labor of love from Joe Piscini here.
Yeah.
It was his original concept, and we all were like, "Ooh, that's interesting. How are we gonna do it?" And he's like, "I'm gonna do it like this," and showed it all. I showed us how it worked, and we were all like, "Great, awesome." Good luck.
Yeah, I had a great amount of help from people all over Paizo. In fact, from just like almost every department came to a big brainstorm, and we came up with all sorts of weird hooks and weird ideas for planets and worlds.
Yeah.
So we'll see some of that on display here today. Okay, I'm done shuffling.
Right.
Jason here is going to grab 3 cards for our first card. Remember, that's where we're picking sort of the world.
The world, indeed.
Yeah, so just draw the 3 off the top there.
This is a terrestrial world with standard gravity, very much Earth-like, with lots of waterways.
So that'll be option number 3, and we're going to do a poll here.
Yep. This is a gas giant with high gravity and a corrosive atmosphere.
That's option 2.
And here's a water world, which is just a lot of water. And landmass is all soggy bogs.
How many Kevin Costner's on there? We'll find out. I guess.
A couple swamp Kevin Costners.
Okay,
so let's have a vote on there. That's 1, 2, and 3. Water world, gas giant, and terrestrial world. What do you want to see? That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna pull some plot hooks for you to choose next. And then we'll sort of throw some species on there. We won't vote on those, but just throw them out real quick, and then we'll just see between the two of us what our brains can put together about like what kind of world that might be, what kind of setting we might see on there, what kind of adventures you might have, that kind of thing. Hey, what a world!
And I'm glad Jason's here. He's very creative, and he's been stuck next to me. We have neighboring desks, listening to me talk about this product for however long. Probably feels like years, but it hasn't quite been.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to what we come up with. And okay, so left to right is 1 to 3. From what?
Yes.
Waterworld is 1. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Waterworld
we're
is
getting some
1.
good advice on the numbers here. Hopefully you didn't accidentally vote for the wrong thing. Again, all you have to do is type a number, and you're good to go.
Good to go.
looks like
Waterworld's running away.
Yeah, I think
a little bit here. So
swimming
let's
off
go
with
ahead. It's swimming away. So that is not that one. That is
we're doing this backwards. So
Here we go. There's your Waterworld.
So we're starting with the Waterworld. Oh, something I really wanted to mention, and I'll show it here now with some random other cards on our world here, is this list of attributes is different on every single card. It's in a different order. And this bar underneath with the arrows is also different on every single card.
Yeah.
So every single card combined with this card will give a different set of attributes. So that's something I'm really excited about. And that's part of what makes you have 9 billion combinations with only 100 cards.
Exactly.
So we've got our Waterworld. Now let's find our first hook and our also attributes bar that'll tell us more.
Yep. I'll try to put these in the correct order this time.
Yeah.
Our first hook, first card number 1, paired with an eerily similar world in a dream dimension, reachable only to those who fall asleep in this world.
Ooh.
Number 2, host to a thriving physical or digital market offering rare items from all over the galaxy and attracting all manner of dangerous attention. And then finally, card number 3, this is the site of a start and finish line for a high-stakes interplanetary or intergalactic starship race.
Ooh, cool.
Ooh, those are all pretty good and exciting, and I can see how that might work out in a Waterworld. And once again, I'm backwards.
What's your personal favorite?
God, I read the first one. I was like, this one for sure.
Yes.
And then I read the second and third one. So I don't know.
I like the race a lot. I think that's not to swing the votes here. Not that I would
sure.
anyway.
Now, already we've got a fair number of
looks like people are agreeing.
Intergalactic race, indeid. Yeah.
Yeah. So is this the start or the finish line? Do you think? Do you just plunge into the water when you're done? Like go to
that.
Yeah.
Although you have to get your start and finish. So you start underwater and you got to blast your way. We're already going through it since it's getting the most votes. We're just starting.
Yeah. We're just
blast your way up out of the water, out of the world's gravity, and then eventually crash on back down. Land there. So let's just take Waterworld.
Yeah, Waterworld's
Waterworld. I mean, not Waterworld. Water Race World. It says start and finish line, and that's going to give us
cool.
what exactly in terms of
All right, so we've got
ups and downs.
Attributes. Yeah, we've got some. It's high tech. It's true neutral, which is great for the finish and start and finish line. You know, no machinations over. Well, I'm sure there will be some, but
probably
But it's a good neutral ground, right, where they've decided to set this race. Low magic, and accord is an attribute we didn't talk about. That tends to be about how well the world gets along internally, and so. High accord would be something like there's one world government, and that could be good or bad, right?
Yeah.
That could be some dictator telling everyone what to do, or it could just be some utopia on the flip side. This has low accord, which means there's probably a lot of like factions and infighting. I imagine that there's just not a permanent, maybe not a
permanent government.
Yeah, exactly, because who knows? And then high religion. That's something where the worship of the faith is really central to the society on this world. And one of the things the deck advises is you can roll a d20. And you might do this if you're at home with a d20 in a core rulebook. But there's a core list of deities that happens to be 20 deities. And you can roll and see which deity is kind of influencing this world. Or you can just use the alignment.
Right, and some neutral deity.
True neutral. Maybe it's Triune saying, hey, race for me.
Well, let's see what the second plot point gives us, and that could probably answer some of our questions for you.
Great.
Number one here for the second plot point of this particular world is it is periodically capable of accessing the drift via a powerful technological artifact. Second one, a surveillance state where sapients are constantly monitored and there is no privacy. Ooh, no fun. And the third one, in the path of a world-breaking asteroid that threatens to end all life. Gosh. Those are both, I mean, those last two are pretty dire.
Yeah.
I guess I would personally want that first one for me.
Well, that one also kind of fits with the triune idea.
Yeah,
maybe it's warping around. And it's changing the start and finish line.
Where it is. I mean, you not only have to get there quicker than everyone else, you also have to find it because it ends in the drift.
Yeah,
that would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool, and a lot of people seem to be really swaying the vote here. Well, no one wants a privacy-free state, and we don't want we love this world already. It's the start and end of a race. We don't want it destroyed. Exactly.
I've been doing a world of the day with a deck of many worlds around the office, and just having people pick 7 cards and going to town,
arrange them.
And that hook came up in a lawful evil world
The drift one?
The surveillance state one.
Surveillance state, yeah.
Or no, sorry, it was a chaotic neutral world. And so it didn't make sense exactly. It sounded more lawful, maybe lawful evil. But I like the idea of a chaotic world where people's like lives are just showing up on camera or like being magically shown to people.
Maybe it's just everyone is spying on everybody.
Yeah.
Like you just know like one world.
Yeah, exactly.
It looks like one has definitely run away with that one again. So this is this world itself just occasionally, periodically enters the drift. And I like what we've said so far is that it basically the race starts in the material plane and ends on the drift.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
In the same place. So go ahead and let's go ahead and put some people in there.
Creatures. These are probably the people that run the race. So we've got
the
Shatori, who are, you want to talk about them
a little bit? Yeah, let's talk about this story a little bit from what I can recall. I believe they were, their home world in our setting is somewhere in the Atlantis Star Empire. And they are beings of magic who kind of transcended their own forms and became kind of almost ghost-like. I think their skin has become all completely translucent. You can see their skeletons. But they are beings, I believe, of fairly high magic in this case.
I'm really making a mess of these cards. It's so easy and
it's so
fun.
easy to keep them straight.
Yeah, when you're not nervous on a stream. All right.
That's okay. You got this.
Cool.
So, and what's that second one? Oh, the right creature.
Perfect for a water world.
Exactly.
An aquatic species.
And
then so those are our sapients. They're the ones likely to have civilizations and interact with PCs who show up and lay down the rules of the race, probably.
Here's what I see.
What do you see? Yeah, please, absolutely.
I've got the Shatori here as being, and I don't think any of these people are from this world. I think maybe this is just, they're just coming in, and it was uninhabited by sapient species until now. But the Shatori have come in, and they're all priests of Triune, let's say, and have basically are starting and ending this race. And the prize is a code to visit Alluvion in the middle of the drift, which is Triune's home demens, essentially. And the Ryrie creature are all the pit crew, basically.
Ah, cool. Yeah. Love it. And then we have some threats here, the Defrex and Velstrax. So Defrex are kind of from the Viscarium. But again, you can use any element of this you want. We give you a reference to where to find more information about these creatures. There's also sfrd.info, our system reference document that you can read all about any of these creatures. And again, every card has a different one. So there's 100 different playable species here. There's 100 different threat species there. So look, we made one world, and I think it's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
I want to make more.
Yeah. We didn't really sort of talk about. Let's quickly.
Oh, fine.
Talk about. I personally always want to explain everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
I see what you did there. Deep dive. Our self-counselor. The Defrex. What do you think? They're probably like aquatic Defrex.
Oh yeah.
We can just do that.
Well, they're boggy. I mean, this is a bog world, right? We said it's a very soggy bogs.
Oh yeah. Any of the they're swamp Defrexes. That's pretty cool. And I think the Velstrac probably like show up periodically to maybe manipulate the competitors or do something to the race, and they're after maybe they're like the Racer X of this race.
Oh yeah,
and they're after that Alluvion code because they want to get in there and mess things up on Alluvion.
I love it.
Yeah,
that's great.
All right.
Cool.
Awesome.
So that was our world. If chat has any ideas for a name for this world, I'm going to set these cards aside just so that we have it for future reference.
Right.
But let's create a whole system here, right? We can just create individual worlds, and if it makes sense for them to be in the same system, then
they certainly can be.
So let's go to another poll and check out our 3 options for the first card of the sort of physicality of the worlds.
All right, let's take a look. This starts with a gas giant, again, with a standard gravity and corrosive atmosphere. This gas giant's violent storms eject particulate matter that joins its ever-growing ring system. Oh, here's an ice world, which has high gravity and is freezing cold, because it's an ice world.
Yeah.
And here's one of our more interesting ones, a colony ship, not even just specifically a planet here. This is just a designed to ferry members of one or more species, sapient or otherwise, to a new home among the stars in a trip that takes untold generations. We obviously we work on Starfinder. We love Starfinder here, but this product is also good for any game. Yeah. Any sci-fi fantasy style game,
or even just setting that you want to create.
Yeah,
I think for any
your own
reason.
setting. Yeah, for your Starfinder game, or if you happen to play another game. I demand Platyparians. I don't know what to show you. Got that down as Arquos for that water world.
Let me write that down
before we lose that in the chat. But yeah, or for writing your own. I don't know if you meant this, but like writing your own fiction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? If you need a brainstorming short story and you want it to take place on a world draw some cards, get some people. Obviously, if you're publishing this for yourself, don't use our names of our creatures. But you can sort of look at the art and sort of imagine what they might be instead of using our names and rules, and just come up with. And since, come up with it,
And since we're looking at some worlds right now, some physical worlds, we definitely got a lot of cool and weird ideas from our brainstorm, and there's plenty in here. I also wanted to make sure that if on average, if you make a system of like 7 planets, 7 worlds, you're going to get a few that are kind of like Earth, but with an interesting twist. You're going to get like 1 or 2 gas giants and 1 or 2 like really strange things. So there's a nice spread of different kind, like a variety, whether you want to go super kind of realistic, or super weird, you can do that again, especially when you are just picking exactly what you want and changing cards as you go. So looks like we have a
close,
winner.
and our winner is the colony ship.
That's not a surprise.
That's our fancy colony ship.
Throw that down. Boom, boom, boom. So now let's find out
something going on.
First,
and I've been taking all of the ones we haven't been picking, putting them aside, so we won't see them again.
Yeah, we're going through the deck one time here, and we're not reusing any cards yet. And remember that every single one of these cards has a flip side with completely different stuff on it.
All right. Plot hook number 1, marked by an economy based primarily on barter, where everything is for trade. Home to a sapient species that's immortal, whether through magic, technology, unusual biology, or something more bizarre. That's number 2. And plot hook number 3 is menaced by spectral incorporeal threats that attack only at night. Ooh, what does night mean on a colony ship? Well, they probably have
an artificial day cycle.
Night cycle.
We know about that. Looks like that's obvious.
That's obvious. I mean, why would you do it any other way?
Here's my question though: if that were true, why would you like turn the night off?
Well, maybe they can. Maybe they don't have control over it. It's been set because it's untold generations.
Watching the poll jump around, I was just going to run away with it. But no,
it just only had like 1 or 2 votes.
Yeah,
100% voted for it. It's only one person.
Okay. So that'll be interesting to see which gets chosen. I mean, any of these, right, could work.
If you were on a colony ship,
yes,
Joe,
I thought about this a lot. So I'm
ready. What do you think you like? Your
janitor.
Your job
I'd be a janitor.
Would be? Janitor?
Yeah, you get to see the whole ship.
I was gonna say, well, best fit your aptitude, because you'd probably be sorted in.
Wow, okay.
No, I'm just saying. No, I'm asking you what you think, and you jumped to janitor.
Yes,
but I didn't get to the point where I said your aptitude.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I think. What's the question, Your Honor?
I don't know anymore. I'm just trying to make some talk here.
Yeah, we killed some time while people voted between these two.
While people voted.
Oh, no one wants the day night. I was kind of curious.
A couple of people did. A couple of people voted for it. But it is spooky.
You and value you.
It's extra spooky.
This is a close race here. I think
what's it going to be?
Getting close to done. Should we just let number 1 win? Yeah, sounds good.
All right, number 1. This is our marked by an economy based primarily on barter, where everything is for trade. That's an interesting thing on a colony ship, because you're not necessarily making anything. Yeah. Right? You don't have the resources to create. I mean, you'll probably have a hydroponics bay and stuff like that, but like in terms of like a planet where you can mine stuff out and whatnot, you might not have a lot of stuff. So let's get a second plot hook.
Let's real quick look at the attributes. So this is a chaotic neutral colony ship,
barter ship.
Yep, barter ship with low magic. So there's not a lot of. It might even be banned, or it might not function on the colony ship for whatever reason. Religion is kind of medium. There might be some sects of worshippers, but it's not like a huge part of daily life. The accord is high, so there's a sort of rule of law here, maybe, or
well, these people get along.
They get along well, right?
Yeah.
And I guess you have to in a barter economy. Accord is high, which I just said, and then tech is high,
which makes sense on a.
Sorry, I'm reading these upside down.
Generation spanning colony
absolutely.
ship. Yeah.
We have a question about Easter eggs in the deck. Gosh, there's 1 or 2 little jokes I put in there.
Fair enough.
That I won't talk about.
You have to find them.
Yeah,
that's what Easter eggs are all about. You have to find them.
Yeah, exactly. And I really loved for a lot of the art we got to ask for. Hey, do an Earth-like world and make something slightly different and interesting about it. And we got really good results, which we won't see here because there's just too many cards to get through.
We'll see. I mean, and I'm sure some of these plot hooks will, if you extrapolate them out, because they're fairly, they're not general exactly, but there's only so many stories that you might hit something that sounds like something you're familiar with, but it probably wasn't intentional.
That's one of the great things. Like, I've made plenty of worlds with this deck already that I'm like, oh, that is Castrovel, or that is something I recognize from other fiction. It's kind of exciting. And, but let's get to that second hook.
Let's get to that second hook. First choice. This is capable of creating 2 temporary replicas of any creature, one that embodies its worst qualities and one that embodies its best qualities. Speaking of Easter eggs, that is a red dwarf plot hook.
Yeah.
Okay. The second one, enveloped in a strange atmosphere that periodically doses sapients with a hallucinogen, drug, or other mind-altering substance. Yikes.
Okay, so it's a drug ship, maybe.
And the final one, characterized by a strange physiological feature shared by both sapients and threats, such as a spider-like thorax or additional limbs. Those are all very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what we end up getting.
One thing when creating these hooks was quite difficult because you want them to be generally applicable,
Right.
But also, specific and interesting.
Yeah.
And when you need something to apply to possibly a gas giant, a ice world, a lava world, and a colony ship, and some other weird stuff that we haven't looked at, and a Dyson sphere.
Right.
It gets tricky.
Yeah, sure.
And so sometimes you will find things that's like, that makes zero sense. Like we were talking a little bit about the day-night cycle. Just turn off the night cycle.
Yeah.
But
you can come up with an answer. Yeah.
Yeah,
is coming up with that answer and just
Exactly.
sort of having it, again, this is just a great exercise in creativity in general. You've got a bunch of building blocks.
Yeah.
And they can be put together in any order.
Yeah.
And then you get to sort of step back and take a look at it and go like, what is this shape of?
Yeah.
Is it, hey, that looks like a skyscraper. That is a, an animal of some kind.
Exactly.
It's basically like doing a pointillism painting with your face this close to it, and then you take a step back and you see what you do. Looks like our second choice was the winner, which is I think the party ship, enveloped in a strange atmosphere that periodically doses sapients with drugs.
Wow.
I mean that may be why it's such a high accord.
I bet. Oh yeah,
everyone's just getting along and being groovy.
Maybe one of the highest commodities you trade is sort of filtered breathers or something.
Yeah. And the people don't want to. So yeah, go ahead and grab some sapients.
Yeah, let's
see some
throw
sapients.
some creatures on here.
And
so we got contemplatives living here, floating brain folk, of course.
I demand Planned Parenthood is saying that the drugs could account for population growth, keeping control of the population growth, because you don't want it to go overboard on a ship. Lava Being, this is basically a world builder, but we can called the Deck of Many Worlds, it's good for building worlds. It's good for building systems. We have other uses for it that we'll talk about it later. That you can basically grab a bunch of plot hooks to create a background for your character, a homeworld for your character in your Starfinder game.
Yeah, one thing I love our adventure paths that you work so hard on and publish for us that take us to interesting new worlds and demonstrate new ones. Kind of homebrew campaigns that go outside of that and go to, like we're all in a ship, let's go explore the galaxy.
Get that Star Trek feel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or just sort of a planet of the week kind of thing going on. Or, this is this week's problem to solve. Like it's so great for...
Here you come across this colony ship that's bartering for anything. It has something you need for your adventure plot hook, but everyone in there, you spend a couple of days in there, you're getting dosed by drugs.
Yep, and there's Ifrits there.
Okay, contemplatives and Ifrits.
Yeah,
mostly contemplatives. Oh, a contemplative ship where most of the population, a colony ship where most of the population is contemplatives being sent out. I seem to get rid of them because contemplatives have always been sort of obnoxious jerks in our adventure paths.
What's up with that?
I don't know. I don't want to know. I don't have any explanation for it. You get a big brain on someone and they become a jerk. I guess.
See a ship named Hell's Rebel. I like that. That sounds really cool.
I like it. Again, split between, I like maybe somehow for some reason it's just 50-50 contemplatives Ifrits. I don't know what that means or what that
yeah, that's fine.
Where that came from.
I like the halogen a lot. Those are beings of light that in our core setting don't leave the planet they're on, the moon they're on. But in this case, there could be one that's sort of powering the ship, maybe, or is triggering the release of this, and it's too dangerous to approach.
Right.
And it's the one kind of doping everyone with light drugs.
well, to move on to what the NEOC is actually a psychoactive producing pterodactyl needle face.
So they're in the ducks then.
So they're probably the ones that, or just sort of, it's like a farm of them. That's where the drugs are being sort of drawn out of and then pumped out to keep the populace in line, happy.
Awesome.
Something.
Yeah. I will say, so that is from Adventure Path number 11. And the creatures in this deck come from all the way up through Alien Archive 3, which just came out, and I think Adventure Path, 15 or something like that. So there's a lot of options in here.
Yeah.
And again, over 100 playable species. Let's go to make a new world. Can we make a new world?
Let's do it. Let's make a new
Okay,
one. We can
I
move
can do
on
this all
from
day.
I Demand Platyparian saying this is the Fire Festival 2.0, of course.
Oh, I see. Yeah, there's another question.
Oh yeah, is this built with any of the content from the upcoming Near Space book in mind? Well, the Near Space book has you'll see species that were mentioned in various alien archives that are come from the Near Space, such as we had earlier on seen the Demai. They're from a Near Space world. So yeah, in a way, you can grab that and if you happen to pull that up as randomly and you want to learn more about it, you can find more about their homeworld.
For sure.
Their in-game homeworlds, in-canon homeworlds.
And I put in Near Space. I made sure to put in, we're presenting a lot of cool, interesting worlds in Near Space, some that we've talked about and some that are new to the book, which I think Rob has said on the forum, so no spoilers here. Yeah. But on top of that, we mention the deck of many worlds and say, hey, if you want to explore Near Space some more, and the X number of worlds in this book aren't enough, or they're inspiring you to go even further, then use the deck of many worlds along with some other advice for creating your own.
So in a way, the Near Space book is built with this in mind.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they feed each other for sure.
They sure do. All right, let's take a look. Let's make another world. There's only two. These end up in the same system, or at least that colony ship is passing through, gets involved in that intergalactic race somehow, ends up being a pit stop. Who knows? I can see it happening. Let's take a look at the next three choices. First choice is a terrestrial world with standard gravity and a thin atmosphere with crimson plant life covering most of the surfaces. Next one is an irregular world with standard gravity and corrosive atmosphere. The world itself is alive, and it kind of looks like a big brain.
Yep.
And finally, a jungle world with a standard gravity and thick atmosphere, and just sort of like also red tinged, coincidentally enough.
I mean, I have a feeling which way this one's going to go because we got basically Meat World.
Gross Meat World.
Which again, you could think of Octurne maybe, and some threads there of a living. Am I thinking the right world here? You're staring at me. Maybe I'm
no. I was like, I forgot that Octurne was essentially a living world.
It might be, yeah.
It's at Gallifrey. I wonder which one.
Oh yeah, I saw someone say this is just fun to do, and that's absolutely true.
It is.
Since we got our copies in here, our preliminary copies of this, I've just been playing with it every day, coming up with random stuff and having a great old time.
Or just hucking cards at my head.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Brain world.
Brain world.
Now we got some. No, it's close here.
It's close. It's going to be close. I mean, you seem to maybe want that brain world.
No, it's fine. I don't care.
Everyone make Joe happy.
Now, another thing you can do when you're building a system, which we're not necessarily doing here, that was kind of our plan, and then it's just been fun to.
We can mash them all together somehow, or if not building a system, building a story.
There is, in fact, there are cards in here, some instruction cards that kind of walk you through what we've walked you through today. But there's a couple more about sort of building settlements using these cards, or giving you at least a start, some ideas using some components of these cards, or NPCs, right? You can draw any of these cards and say, okay, this is a contemplative NPC, right?
Yeah, we can here's a Riforian and a Radiation Drake, and they're in love.
Yes, exactly.
There you go. There's your adventure right there. What do we end up with? I think we ended up with number 2 on that one, Brain World. I think we ended up with Meat World.
Yay.
Yeah.
I'm impartial.
Here's this irregular world.
Okay, so let's see what this, again, totally unique lineup of attributes lines up with when we pick our hook.
When we pick out of these hooks. Choice number 1, an apparent utopia, but in fact a facade meant to lure sapient creatures to their destruction. Ego the living planet. Second one, a single world-sized sapient entity, an enormous elemental on our fish head, or just a big old brain. And the third one is beset with mysterious psychic waves, periodically wiping sapient creatures' short or long-term memories. And again, as you were talking about, there's some choice in there that we can decide when we pick it up, but we all know what's going to get picked, I think.
Well, I mean, I think at least 2 of those are very on point for this.
They could be.
Which is always really fun because I did not write any of these with any other in mind, really. I wrote them all with everything in mind, which was, we were just talking about the challenges of that before, but it leads to these wild, I think one of my favorite combinations of hooks was, the first one was about a world. The world was full of people who were teleported there mysteriously right before some cataclysm, right? So they were saved from some like world-ending apocalypse, and that's who populates that world. Then the other hook was this is a world where one sapient hunts other sapients for sport, and so real tragic, but very interesting. I thought.
Yeah, I mean, in the middle of a hunt, they all got transported. Maybe even.
Well, that would be better than what I was thinking, which was, and I think Aeon Guards were also the threat, and so it could be that they're just like transporting people there to then hunt them.
Hunt them. Oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah, in multiple ways.
That world is only one of 9 billion that is gone now.
never shows up again.
Yeah.
And number 2 is our winner here, the single world-sized sapient entity.
Okay, let's see what attributes we got for lining these up. Okay, so high accord, which makes sense because it's basically
it gets along with itself. It's not a self-loathing sapient world.
Low tech, so more meat, less something technological.
More meat, less metal.
It's neutral, so that's interesting. Yeah. And then what else? High magic, so it's very magical and not religion.
Not much religion going on. No, it's. I mean, it believes in itself.
Yeah, I guess. I
imagine. Earlier on, I saw that Hikaru the Kitsune said that these could all be also stops on our race.
Oh yeah,
that's
a
good idea.
Yeah, that's
definitely
fantastic.
A good idea. Let's take a look at the second plot hook for this meat world. First choice is the throne world of a galaxy-spanning empire. The second one is site of an expansive magical or technological simulation, trapping unsuspecting sapient creatures in a fictional alternate reality.
Oh.
Also Red Dwarf plot hook, I think. A biological or technological machine designed to be a world-destroying super weapon. So a living giant super weapon for choice number 3. That would be something.
Yeah. So a low-tech machine, right, is kind of interesting. Like it's built as because it's low-tech.
Yeah.
So, but you can have biological machines. So
yeah, exactly.
Any one of these would be kind of interesting.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what we get here.
I'm exhausted. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're doing this for like 2 more hours, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I mean, I could do it forever, but they're going to cut us off at some point.
And they'll kick us out of the building.
Yeah.
Go home.
They do every day. I don't know.
I know, but they can't get us out of here. We almost never want to leave.
That's right.
He said with a rictus grin on his face.
Sweat pouring down his face.
We love it here. But we do have a good time. So
yes, absolutely.
We often have a grand old time.
Mm-hmm.
I know I lately have been just sort of working on the an upcoming adventure path and having to draw a big old conspiracy wall on one of the whiteboards, which had to get interrupted by the managers meeting by the way at one point. So I was like, just don't touch this, and also I'm fine, everybody. Don't ask me if I'm fine.
I would have thought
this
you
is
said,
fictional.
Don't mind me, and just kept going.
I should have. I should have been calm. But what about this? What about the doctor?
No spoilers.
Is this how we're going to? Laurie 7x3 is asking, is this how we're going to build AP Worlds from now on? I mean, it certainly could be a start to if we have no ideas, which almost never happens.
Sure.
But if we ever needed to have something, we have those codex of worlds in the back of every AP volume. If I have an author who doesn't know what to write, I will grab this, come up with something random, and be like, hey, write this up.
Yeah,
figure it out from there, figure out how that works.
It's virtually impossible that some of this won't leak into our products from now on,
sure. Yeah.
Just talking about even what we've talked about today, like some of these ideas are kind of cool and could show up just in like, a throwaway sentence here or there just for, we need a tiebreaker
between 2 and 3.
Well, we have some tie-breaking dice here we can roll on the screen.
Oh, yeah, the die of destiny.
Someone...
Big Wolf, we're not doing the... well, this, I guess, is world 1, 10,009.
Tiebreaker.
Yeah, hooray.
Hikaru saved us.
Hikaru, hooray.
So we've got...
Oh, no! Almost someone's trying to get it in there.
Oh, whoops.
Almost sorry, Narayan.
The tie.
So that was 3, I believe, right?
Yeah.
A biological, technological machine designed to be a world-destroying super weapon.
Okay, so it's a super weapon.
It's a living super weapon world, a living kind of Death Star kind of situation.
Very weird. Let's see who lives there.
Itself also very irregular.
Now, Jason, I want you to explain why there are Han there.
Oh gosh,
what are Han?
What are Han? Han are sort of large arthropodic creatures who are from Brethida, and they use their silk, their own silk to make balloons, and they float around in their own gas giant. So, but this is a colony of Han that left Brethida to create this particular super weapon. So instead of it, it sort of looks like a big meat world, but I can imagine it's kind of maybe some kind of like insect chitin kind of world.
That's cool. We have the poor Dramata here too.
No, the Dramata.
They're very skittish. Written by Diego Valdez, our customer service rep. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know how they ended up here.
Let's say that there's an accident and they got crashed. They got lost in space.
Yeah,
at least a family of Dramata will get lost in space here on this strange world.
I hope they're okay.
And then two scary things: the dust mantas and the Shuralashus. I mean, the Shuralashus can be ridden and are friendly at least to some Lashuntas, but they just kind of look kind of terrifying.
Yeah, they'll mess you up. I mean, look at the muscles on that thing.
Yeah,
and I like the sort of dust mantas maybe being pieces of chitin that kind of move independently and fly around.
Yeah, creepy.
Instead of dust, they become part of the world and then detach and slide around.
And that is kind of like part of the way the world is able to create whatever devastating low tech, low magic, or high magic. That's probably high magic burst of energy that it's its weapon form or something like that.
Why is this a stop on the race?
What?
That's what I want to know.
I mean, I'm sort of thinking. I haven't been thinking about stops. That the colony ship kind of accidentally gets mixed up in the race. This irregular world shows up to also destroy the race or destroy the water world.
Yeah, it's a world destroying super weapon, so it might have just arrived to take out the finish line.
Or it's just hazard,
Yeah, okay.
Make sure
a hazard. Yeah.
Buzz them, buzz the tower on this irregular world.
Exactly.
We got a couple of name possibilities here. I think we're going to probably skip Thanagotos, Thanos, Ego. It's too much of an Easter egg. But Distro Cortex, Phobos Ego, Phobigos. I like Phobigos.
I like them both.
They have the dust mantas are cleaners.
That's a really cool idea.
One has like white blood cells on a massive scale.
Oh, that makes perfect
sense. I like
that. Yeah, I mean, the Dramata could also be in on this. They could definitely be just maintaining the machinery, the biological machinery, just cleaning out tubes and things like that. Whatever.
Well, they could be like dust. They could be the dust manta, like shepherds or something.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but I really like this.
Me too.
I can't quite read.
Rexaliquid.
Rexaliquid? Talking about how the planet was originally designed as a weapon before it gained sentience. And that's a really excellent use of the hooks in saying these aren't both true right now, but they have been true. One was true before, and now this one is true after.
Right.
And that would maybe the Dramata crashed there. And it was a super weapon, and now I'm just going, somehow.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, they're unlikely heroes. So I really appreciate that one because that is a point I wanted to make and maybe forgot was there's just so many ways. In fact, I do want to mention there's an upcoming blog on Paizo.com that's going to take just one of these worlds that you see, and I got a bunch of people at Paizo to write about that set of cards, and everybody got a kind of different take on it. So look forward to that. I'm not sure exactly when that's coming, but
that's great.
It's pretty cool.
That sounds great.
Yeah. Should we do another one?
We have time.
Yeah,
we definitely have time to do another one.
Woo. Chad, do you want to do another one? Because we'll just stop and just
sit here silently and stare at each other. I didn't bring my tea.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess we gotta make
this one's going to be an interesting one.
Just this one. Okay, here we go.
This is also going to be an interesting sort of choice because I kind of peeked ahead a little bit and saw what it was. So here we go. Option number 1 is a terrestrial world with standard gravity and normal atmosphere, but an immense gyre swirls in the largest ocean of this Earth-like world, the Eye of Abednego, something like that. Here's another terrestrial world. Low gravity, though, normal atmosphere, but it's also home to several massive active volcanoes. So what natural disaster do you want to have featured? And here's a high gravity, normal atmosphere terrestrial world that is mostly mountains. So that one is your sort of basic, your basic mountain world.
Your basic.
Yeah. Again, sort of 3 terrestrial worlds, kind of almost. You want to do the rice to this particular the base to this stew of melange of stuff that we've got, something that might be is a little more quote unquote normal.
Sure, but you never know what hooks you're going to draw, right?
Exactly.
So
if
it's
true.
Some weird utopia, it could just look like that, and in fact is
some kind of simulation. I think might be one of the hooks in here.
And for that second one, it's not necessarily volcanoes, right? You can look at that art and decide it's whatever you want it to be. It might not even be permanent. It might just be like, there were all these explosions all at once on this world, maybe not even right now, but eons ago, and that has shaped the world. So you can do anything you want.
Rex was asking if there's an air world. Do you remember if there was?
I know for sure there's an air world.
I mean, all the gas giants are kind of like air worlds in a way, but
yes, there are. But there is
one that is
giants.
specifically somewhere in here.
Yeah.
He's going to look through all 100 of them.
Nope, I'm going to look through the ones we have left, and
right.
I don't think it's here, but
we may have already chosen it somewhere.
It's probably on the back of one that we've already used. So
or one of the. But
yeah, there is a world that is just the sky. Although it has some very, very, very tall spires on it, which of course you can just pretend aren't there.
That ends up falling under the mantle of irregular world.
Yes, it's an irregular world.
Yeah.
So
polls closed. What did we get there? Looks like the second one.
Oh, sweet.
Volcanoes.
I want to see, what do people think these are? Because this one in particular,
fair enough.
We can
throw out your ideas.
So it could be active volcanoes, enormous glowing runestones, or something even stranger. And I'm down for stranger.
Stranger.
So here we are.
Let's do it. Let's see. Maybe we can also this will help us figure that out too.
The first hook.
First choice, peppered with hidden gates to other dimensions and planes of all kinds, including some dimensions that have yet to be discovered.
Okay, so literally gates to other dimensions.
Sure, exactly.
Okay, interesting.
Second choice is a game preserve where one of the world's sapiens hunts sapient creatures for sport or rite of passage.
We heard
there
about
it
that
is.
one, yep.
And the final choice is a vast library of information, repository of artifacts, or menagerie of species, either privately or publicly owned.
Okay.
Again, let's take a look. It's a good votes. The poll's up. Number 1 is gateways. Number 2 was most dangerous world. Number 3 was the big library / artifact warehouse
menagerie
13,
thing.
Menagerie thing.
Yeah,
zoo.
I'll say we haven't even. I don't think we've gone through half the deck yet.
No,
or just about maybe.
Yeah.
So that's pretty wild.
It is super good, super good. Again, it comes with there's a few cards at the beginning here that just sort of really spell out what every card looks like, all the information you need, and for all those other bits, how to create a system, how to create a non-player character, and stuff like that. So, you don't even need us explaining this to you. It all explains itself.
Yep.
So if you're not listening to this right now and you're never going to listen to this, you're in luck.
Yes.
Because and you buy this, you'll be able to pick it up.
Yeah, and we definitely design these to be usable. Where you don't need to refer to the instructions once you know how it works. So you all get a big heads up. Wow. So this was not close.
Yeah, not at all. Planet portals
makes a lot of sense.
Planets.
I think, like you said, finding out that first hook really helped us nail down what these were.
These crazy...
And in fact, we have high magic, low religion. So maybe that tells us that those planes are not sort of.
They don't have to be realms of gods, or maybe
or aligned realms. They could be elemental, maybe.
Yeah.
Tech is Earth-like. Accord is low, which makes sense because
there's a lot going on.
And then it is neutral good.
Okay.
Which is interesting. We'll have to figure out more about that maybe from our next hook.
Let's take a look. Yeah. So here are the choices for the second hook. Choice number 1. Influenced by malign artificial intelligence, quietly working to eradicate all local biological life. Ooh, spooky. Number 2. Plagued with conflict between diametrically opposed sapients. And basically, sort of, this one says, it gives you a little note how to figure that out. For one species or faction of a species, treat all up arrows as down arrows, and vice versa. So we can see how that works for that. And finally, choice number 3, home to unusually intelligent or organized threats. So when we see what those threats are, they would be more intelligent than normal, or more organized for whatever reason we decide.
Yeah. Well, especially on a low accord world, right? There might be, let's see what people pick. But,
yes, exactly. There's many ways to go about it. Voting 11 is not voting for one twice.
And I'll try to pay more attention to the chat here. I've just been staring at these cards.
The chat has mostly been voting.
Yeah, a lot of numbers. I see a lot of numbers. But if anyone has any questions, I'm here for you.
We could finish up this world, talk about it a little bit, and then maybe take some questions. About as you said.
And we can talk a little more about how we made it and all that stuff.
Yeah, indeed.
So how's the poll going?
It's evenish.
Race-ish.
It's definitely going to be. Something. It's going to be one of these 3. I'm pretty sure of that.
A lot of people ask about the. I'm pointing here from the side. Hello.
There you
about the dice and. So we got how many cards in the deck? So there are 100 world cards, which are these cards we're seeing that are double-sided, and then there are 10 instruction cards. So the dice can be used for several things. We talked about how you can use them to see how many species there are, and we've just been going with a sort of default of 2 of each, just to keep it simple for the stream. But you can also use them. You can draw a card and decide that's how many worlds are in a system. Yeah. You can also draw one and use one of the numbers for how many moons there are, because there's some advice on how to generate a moon, which spoilers is just a smaller planet with less information. Where you can decide to use the same species or kind of interact with the hooks of the world itself in interesting ways. So what were the ideas that did not make it on the final card? Names and lore. Well, there are way too many aliens, especially threats, to put on these cards. Although I will say, at the time of making this, we just got to 100. We had just hit 100 playable species, so that was just kind of perfect timing for us. What did we get?
A tie.
Oh, a tie.
It's a tie.
And
all right, you roll one die
the poll so that we could roll the tiebreaker die. Let's roll them over here on the.
Okay.
We'll roll them where the world card is.
Now, what do we roll?
That's a great question. If
evens odds?
Yeah, sure.
So evens is the second hook, odds is the third hook. I believe that was the tie between 2 and 3.
Odd hook.
So number 3.
Yeah, and it's exactly number 3.
And it's exactly number 3.
This does not come with the deck, so
it's crammed into that tiny box. This is the one that is home to unusually organized or intelligent threats.
All right, let's find out what those threats are.
Let's find out what the threats are.
And remember, the way we've been doing this, we've just been throwing these on. I'll put the threats first so we can think about it longer. We've just been sticking with whatever we end up with, but you can always say, like, you know what? I don't want devils on this world. You just swap it out. Just get a new card. You can look through the cards and pick things that seem cool to you. There's no restrictions here. It's your product. Available at Paizo.com and your friendly local game store next month. All right. This is an interesting spread. So
it is. Got the Sarcesians, who are sort of like asteroid angels in a way, or at least referred to that way. They have these wings that pop up in space, which isn't going to help them very much on a world, but
true that.
But who knows? And then the Gothclaw, which are also from the Aeon Star Empire, who are kind of unusually long-necked, furry kind of creatures who are good with mechanics and stuff like that. That just squeeze into ducks.
Oh, okay. So they probably make up. I would think they would make up like kind of the core population of this world. Like this is an Earth-like level of technology. So this is kind of who lives there.
It's
Planet of Hats, but Planet of Gothclaws.
And the Sarcesians are sort of living up, or protecting the portals or something like that. Yeah.
And something about these are both very tied to our setting, right? We talked about the Sarcesians live in the diaspora generally, or generally. Lots of vacuum places, and Gothclaws are from the Aeon Throne. But again, you can use just the art or elements of their lore that again is available online for free and in our books that are referenced here. And you can just pick and choose which pieces you like and use those.
So I mean, let's go ahead and say that these Sarcesians, what they look like here, you can kind of see their wings, and now they always have wings near the portals, and they're the portal guardians.
Portal guardians, love it. I love it.
But
we have some threats here, and one of them is unusually intelligent or organized, which, I mean, devils are pretty organized and intelligent. So I think the Apari makes sense.
Who are also very vaguely organized themselves, because they are hives basically of insects unto themselves.
It's true.
So they have a method of organization. So I think let's make them extra intelligent.
I think we could do both, because I know it says or on the card, but let's say, Apari, they are self-contained hives, but why not a worldwide network of Apari where they all communicate with each other and know what's going on?
Is it because of the devils, or in spite of the devils, perhaps?
I think it's the planes. I think they have something to do with the planes. I've not been looking at shit.
We got at least a name here. Karanosavai.
I saw a question. Any plans for expansions? Buy a lot of these decks, and then we'll have good reason to make expansions. I would love to do more of these cards. And there's plenty of room in space for even more. Again, 9 billion combinations. You won't run out anytime soon. But there's always room for more. At
some point, we always are adding more sapient species, adding more regular creatures. It'd be great to sort of tuck those in as a smaller, a 55 card deck or something like that, or a 50 card deck, and it wouldn't be too difficult to come up. Well, I don't know. You tell me. To come up with a couple more worlds, or throw in some more extra weird stuff in here that we didn't get to.
And I could see the devils on this world in particular trying to gain control of these planes. That would be pretty handy for
or the portals. To get
control these gates so they can get around.
That's pretty good. But in the Apari, are like, I don't know, are they the shock troops, or are they just sort of a natural?
They're threats. Yeah, that's true.
A natural thing that has occurred, and so there's a sort of a back and forth between fighting off devils and fighting off the Apari, who are also just trying to live.
Just trying to live.
They're just trying to live their bug lives.
I mean, that's true. A lot of our poor aliens that get shot at.
I mean,
lasers.
yes, yeah.
Any questions?
So that's the deck of many worlds. That's how we're not going to make another one right now. We've got a sort of a nice 4-world race essentially. That we could go with if we wanted to. I'll
just put out. I'm going to put out some cards we didn't use,
so you can see them if you want.
So here's some.
And
some on the fronts.
Someone did ask earlier who showed up late to mess what the die faces were, but you even explained that a few times. So we've got basically they're just good for random number generation. That's pretty cool. Nexius is also a possible name for that last one.
I'll write that one down too. I like Kiranos Savai as well.
That's all good. You can smush them together if you want. But any specific questions about again, the sort of the process about how we created how Joe in particular got this all together. The sort of back and if you want to talk a little bit about the back and forth with like art, how this was going to get laid out.
Yeah, there were. I should have brought one of the prototypes. There were some real poor sketches done by me of aliens and threats. Yeah. This is a threat species, you could tell because it's got a frowny face. And the heroes had, I think I got a cape on the heroes sketch
for
the sapient species. But Sonia and Sarah were instrumental in making this happen, of course, because you'd be stuck with some dry erase rectangles.
Right. No, we can't really do anything that we do without the art team.
And especially not something so laid out and
this is
organized.
Very dependent on how this is laid out. But I mean, the layout was your general idea.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Right? Because you were
worked on a lot of iterations.
Yeah. How to get them all smushed together.
At one point, this was going to be a 55 card deck with only a few million combinations, but it at some point it morphed into a 110 card project, and that was exciting because we obviously can do a lot more with that.
Sure, yeah.
And so here we are. Also,
exciting and terrifying.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You have to also fill up 100.
Yep.
And we're talking 100%. About you're not just filling 100 cards; you're filling 200 cards.
Yep, it was
because you had to back and front.
Yeah, there was a very big spreadsheet. I think the number of cells in it was in the thousands. I mean, you can. I don't know, 100 times each of these components everything was a cell in a spreadsheet. So but I like that stuff. So.
Yeah, indeed.
The cards are numbered on each. The cards are numbered on each card. So you could share worlds with people just by sharing the numbers, right? You could say,
right, yeah. Hey,
the front is 27, and then the first hook is 44.
Yeah.
So it's sort of really cool.
We can't wait for you to get it. Get your hands on it.
Yeah.
Because this is just something new and creative and awesome that Paizo hasn't really done much along the way of sort of I don't know how to explain it. It's an accessory that helps you build your campaign in a way that is not necessarily related to just in the game while you're playing. This is kind of a background situation. Just being awesome. Just so many things.
Yeah.
So many good things.
I'm really looking forward to people, not only getting their hands on it and creating their own worlds, but, sharing it and telling me about them. Like,
remember
and that blog I mentioned.
That's at Joe Pacino.
Yes. That blog I mentioned going up on Paizo.com I look forward to the comments there just to see what run away with things.
Exactly. You should probably just get the information. Don't read any other people's first. Get the information, then write your own world, and then go back and read the ones that the other employees wrote. So then we can and post. What I mean is obviously post on the forum so we can see it.
Especially those of you now who have the idea of how it works, basically.
Yeah.
Because we don't go fully into it in the blog.
Is the deck part of the accessory subscription? I believe it is. Yes.
So if you subscribe to accessories, you'll just get this.
You'll get it, and you're gonna love it.
Yeah, show the box.
Let's take a look at that box.
It's got a world on it.
It's got Navasi checking out a world, and it's got Joe's name on it.
Yeah, how about that?
All right. So I guess if we don't have any more questions, unless you have any closing comments, Joe.
No, thanks for everybody for coming and sharing these good times with us, making 4 new worlds out of just
nothing.
Randomness.
Yeah.
So good job on you. Good voting. And
we did it. We did it together, and that's what Starfinder is all about: community and coming together, and just sort of acting as one I don't know.
Oh, you're so close.
I choked in the end there.
Speaking of sticking together,
Okay.
stick around for Punch and Crawl in a few minutes.
Good Lord.
That was good. Come on.
That was
Well, for some,
good.
measure of good.
Okay. Yes.
Coming up next.
Oh no,
Can you hear
Peyton!
someone saying boo
Our
words?
audience is booing us. This is the first time we've ever had an audience. We probably
Yes.
shouldn't have the audience in the studio anymore if they're going to boo at us. Yeah. So for BB Wolf and Punch and Crawl, more Starfinder goodness next week, and all the other stuff that we do here on the Paizo.twitch.tv.com/Paizo official. I did it.
And with that,
Oh,
good
no, I'm so
night and good
tired.
luck.